Hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, July 8th, 2019. I am your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brains. We are fresh back from vacation, which means everything's running a little bit off kilter as we transition from, there's a dog squeaking in the background. As we transition from being off playing to apparently I need to play with my dog. One moment. Okay, the squeaky toy has been stolen. Sorry about that, everyone. She found another one. You're evil. I now have a pile of squeaky toys. Okay, I'm going to do the science now before she finds a third squeaky toy. My dogs missed me. My dogs missed me a lot. I have to pay them back. Okay, on to the science. I'm going to start with the grossest story of the day in hopes that all the science that comes after will erase from your mind just how truly gross this first story is. So I've often talked about how the International Space Station is the smelliest orbiting science experiment of all time. Little did I know just how right I was in ways I hadn't anticipated. The space station isn't just ripe with body odor, but it's also stinky with the smell of indestructible mold. This photo that you're looking at of a wall with mold growing on it, that's the wall where the astronauts hang up their exercise clothing to dry. And as part of their daily chores, the astronauts have to scrub the mold and mildew off the walls of the International Space Station. And the most common variants are similar to the common variants we found here on Earth. This is Aspergillus and Penicillium molds. Well, it turns out that exposing this grossness to radiation of space, extreme temperatures, ultraviolet light, chemicals, and dry conditions, none of these things really kill it off completely. Working in a lab, ground-based scientists have simulated space radiation, hitting the fungal spores with everything from heavy ions to X-rays. And nothing kills the fungus. This has implications for future planetary missions where spacecraft sterilization may not be as easy as we once thought. We actually already knew it was hard. We just didn't know how hard. It turns out this fungus will survive 200 times as much radiation as a human being. So when we get to Mars, we're going to have antibiotics. It's less clear if we'll have us, but the mold will make it. So go team mold. Yeah, I'm moving on. Moving on to Lightsail. Before we went on vacation last week, we saw the Falcon Heavy successfully lift off once again and deploy a whole suite of satellites. Among the satellites that are deployed was Lightsail 2, a mission from the Planetary Society that was crowdsourced by, probably some of you out there watching right now. And as planned, 7 days after launch, the spring-loaded enclosure deployed the radio antenna from Lightsail 2, and using Morse code, the mission transmitted back its call sign, WM9XPA. The next thing this mission is going to do once it fully checks out is deploy its 32-meter square solar sail. The timing of the deployment will be announced soon. This is a illustration, or an animation rather. Once the sail is deployed, the mission will become easily visible to the unaided eye here on the planet Earth if you're on the right place at the right time. The mission will orbit for roughly a year before burning up in Earth's atmosphere. As it orbits, it's going to use that sail to put itself into a more and more elliptical orbit, both moving further from Earth on one side and closer on the other, before plunging in to the Earth's atmosphere to meet a fiery death. So let's just say this is a bright spacecraft during all phases of its mission. Now, the latest round of lunar missions is in their earliest of all possible phases. And these low-cost spacecraft are going to be, it's a little bit insane what's going on. And here I am going to find, I'm sorry, I have inadvertently rearranged my desk in unintended ways. And I'm trying to find the press release for this, because I need to just read to you the insanity that is this mission. And of course, I can't find the press release window. There we go. Okay, so coming to us from UCal Berkeley is news about these newest missions. And what they wrote is the University of California, Berkeley's Space Sciences Laboratory is going to have less than $6 million to cover all their costs of building a spacecraft to go to the moon. This means that they're going to have to co-opt space parts from other missions. Specifically, they're going to be using materials that were originally built for the Parker Solar Probe, which was also built at UCal Berkeley. They're also scavenging parts from Stereo, which was launched in 2006, and they have leftover parts. And from Maven, which went to Mars in 2013. Their new mission, called Lucy, this stands for Lunar Surface Electromagnetics Experiment, will make a comprehensive measurement of electromagnetic phenomena on the surface of the moon and erect Simple Radio Telescope, the first operational telescope on the moon. The lead scientist, Bale, states, NASA wanted instruments that are ready to go because the schedule is really aggressive. We are talking about pulling something together and delivering it in about 18 months, which is fast. We proposed a reflight of our Parker Solar Probe instrumentation, which works like a charm, and the team is still together to get it tuned up. We're good at building experiments quickly that work. 18 months to build something to go to the moon. Now, what they're building only has to last 2 weeks. They're going to land it in the lunar morning, and the lunar day lasts about 2 Earth weeks, and then the sun will set and the mission will die. They're not going to try and survive the lunar night. But all that said, look at what our good friends over at Space IL went through to try and build their lander. They have to build something in way less time with less money. And yeah, good luck. To say this timeline is aggressive is an understatement. And this is going to be really a test of what is possible. And it's going to be the first step in figuring out, is it possible to get humans to the moon in 4 years? This is terrifying. I am very glad I do not work on this kind of spacecraft. We're going to be cheerleading from the side. Okay, on to Mars, where we're watching a spacecraft do what it can to rescue the instrument that so far can't. This is InSight's MOLE instrument. The MOLE was originally planned to dig down about 5 meters, taking thermal measurements as it went of the Mars, soils. Unfortunately, the MOLE only made it 1 foot. not 5 meters, 1 foot. That's about 30 centimeters beneath the surface before it got stuck for unknown reasons. In this video, you can see the InSight's arm reaching out and moving the enclosure for the mole, revealing the place at the surface where the mole was entering the Martian soil. Unfortunately, they can't just yank this thing out of the ground and put it somewhere else. It's just not designed to withstand that kind of abuse. So what they're hoping is now that they can look at the soil around the space probe, they can begin to figure out what's going on. What they think might have happened is the soil around the mole might have settled out, creating a situation where there's just not enough friction for it to hammer itself beneath the soil. It's not entirely clear. They're going to use the Mars InSight arm to dig around the probe, trying to collapse any empty pockets around it in hopes that they can set it hammering again and get it deep beneath the surface. Unfortunately, if it's stuck on a rock, it's likely nothing can be done. So they're trying. They're still trying. There's one more thing left to try that we know about. And knowing the engineers at NASA and at the German Aerospace Agency, there may be other tricks up their robotic sleeves that they're going to be able to pull out. So that's where we stand as they continue to try and get the mole, well, digging. Okay, moving from our solar system to the Gliese 3470 solar system, we have news of new measurements of a new kind, well, it's a well-known, but these are new measurements of a kind of planet that doesn't exist in our solar system. This small red dwarf star has one of what may be the most common types of planets in our galaxy. And this is a planet that's a weird hybrid between an ice giant like Neptune or Uranus and a terrestrial world like Earth or Mars. This particular world weighs a whole 12.6 times what our Earth weighs, or the mass is 12.6 times the Earth's mass. This world has, we believe, a large rocky core buried under a dense atmosphere. New observations using the Hubble Space Telescope and the Spitzer Space Telescope studied what exactly that atmosphere is made of. And this world is unlike anything we ever expected. It turns out that that atmosphere is mostly devoid of heavy elements like oxygen and nitrogen that were expected to be there, like we have here on Earth and we see on worlds like Mars and Venus. None were found. It appears that this world, it has an atmosphere of hydrogen and helium, and our theory that massive worlds like this formed far out from their star and migrated in seems to, at least for this world, to be entirely wrong. The best way that scientists have found to explain this particular planet is that it formed in situ, snuggled up so close to its world that it's orbiting in less than 3 days, and that it initially formed with a dry, solid core, that rocky internal world, and then gathered up hydrogen and helium to build that massive atmosphere that it now has. This means, once again, that anyone who tells you they know how planets formed in any kind of detail, they're lying to you. We have no idea how exactly planets form in all the diverse ways that they do. More data is needed. Okay, and in our final story of the day, we move outwards from our solar system to a galaxy cluster far, far away, and a new kind of galaxy that I hadn't heard of until I read this press release from Lancaster University in the United Kingdom. This press release defines a kind of galaxy called a jellyfish galaxy. These are, as they define it, spectacular objects that undergo dramatic processes of transformation as they plunge through the dense core of a galaxy cluster at supersonic speeds. External drag forces tear away the galaxy's gas in a process known as ram pressure stripping, leaving extended tentacles of trailing material. Now, looking at this image, it's a little bit hard to see, but there's this blob of galaxy top left and these curls of pockets of gas. These are the tentacles. And while they don't seem very impressive, this is because the angle of approach doesn't allow us to see them fully. So instead of seeing their entire length, they appear much shorter due to the tight angle that we're seeing them at. So depending on angle, you can take a long object and turn it into a point, or in this case, you can take what turns out to be a 300 light year long tentacle of gas, dust, and stars and make it appear like little tiny arms off of a massive galaxy. No, those tentacles are long. This is one of 114 jellyfish galaxies that were identified in an earlier study. In this latest announcement, this particular jellyfish galaxy that has the boring name of J021, it's determined that this particular system has been getting harassed by its host galaxy cluster for roughly 1 billion years. Due to this interaction, it has undergone a brief period of massive amounts of star formation, followed by a hollowing out of all of its gas and dust, leaving behind no material for future generations of stars. So while on Earth, jellyfish may make you wish you were dead, it turns out jellyfish galaxies simply are dead. This is, well, the relic of a system with no more stars left to form. And that's it for our science news for today. And I will now take your questions. And I'm going to remind you to please at CosmoQuestX in the chat so that I can find your questions more easily. While you're typing those in, once again, my name is Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brain. And thank you, Kevlar, for the bits. Thank you so much. I still don't have a dog cam set up, but I think I have a dog on my feet. Do I? I do. Can you just come up and say hello? Come on up. So here's Eddie. He says hi. He says thank you as well. So thank you so much, Trekker Kev, for those bits. So other information, we are a production of the Planetary Science Institute, and we are brought to you by you. We are here thanks to your subscriptions and your donations and your support over on patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. I will be sending out, thank you so much, Keeper of Maps. Come on up, Eddie. Hi. Say hi. He says hi and thank you. I'm going to be sending all of our Patreon patrons the intended script for this session, along with a link to the video, in just a few minutes. This is just one of the many benefits that we are working on getting you when you support us over on Patreon. So thank you. And if you can't support us financially, that's okay. We totally understand. There are lots of other ways you can help the show. The best way that you can help us is to just get the word out, to tell your friends, your family, your enemies, anyone you have contact with to tune in to CosmoQuestX here on twitch.tv live at noon Central. That's 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. London time, most Mondays through Fridays, or to watch us, later in the day over on YouTube. So spread the word, help build our audience, and we will help build a more scientific society. I am now going to scroll, and yes, Arnster is right. Mark rocks. We have just a couple days left to map as much of Bennu as we humanly possibly can. Please help us out at bennu.cosmoquest.org as we work to find a safe place to touch down, grab a soil sample, and bounce back off with our OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. Okay, scrolling back to see what questions we have. The mirror was reportedly much worse in respect. Oh, you're talking about the fungus. Yeah, there is fungus among us. It's really grope. Yeah, gross. Maybe this was the real reason the mirror was abandoned. I don't think so. But, yeah, fungus is really bad for the lungs, the brain, everything else. It's just gross. Oh, the squeaking was totally Stella. Of course it was Stella. Stella likes to squeak toys. Eddie is a good boy. Stella is just Stella. Let's see, what else do we have in here? So Astro YYZ asks, any idea if returning astronauts are showing negative health effects of mold exposure? Not that I know of, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. It just means that I don't know. That might be the kind of thing that Binary Blaze is better off figuring out. She knows how to find out pretty much anything about weird things with the space station. She has magic skills I don't. Hello, Open Cage 5. Welcome. Let's see. Looking to see what other questions we have. Scrolling. You guys are not full of questions today. Send a robot technician. Always. Yes, jellyfish in space. Okay, that was all the questions somehow that I've seen so far. All right, we don't have a lot of questions. And that's okay, because really we had a whole lot of news today. Mark rocks. Mike Cassidy has been doing amazing work marking rots. Tagging him was correct. Mike Cassidy has marked over 1,000 unique images. We have a small handful of volunteers who are amazing. Mike, you're one of them. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I am going to be off and on today, doing software and Bennu mapping and all sorts of stuff. I see our instructor asking, how were the earthquakes on your vacation? So I was out in Southern California visiting friends who live near Universal Studios last week. In fact, I was with David Joseph Wesley, the composer of our Astronomy Cast theme song, and he has given us permission to use his entire catalog of music here on CosmoQuest and over on Starstrider. So you're going to be getting some more music coming to you. This means music to smuggle by will also be music to mark rocks by. My vacation was awesome. The first earthquake hit while we were getting ready for breakfast, and there was a whole lot of, is the house actually shaking? Yes. That's an earthquake. Wow, that's an earthquake. It rumbled on and on and on. As Michael Brown, the planetary scientist, correctly pointed out, there are basically three ways to experience an earthquake. If you experience short, sharp, but not very strong waves, that means the epicenter is beneath you, and it wasn't that strong. If you experience long, slow rolling motions that aren't worryingly strong, that means there's a huge earthquake far away. The longer the earthquake lasts, the bigger it was at its epicenter. If you feel extremely strong, short waves, hide quickly because your world might be ending. He phrased it more politely, but when we felt the earthquake rolling on and on and on. We knew it was going to be bad somewhere, and we're grateful it wasn't bad where we were. The 7.1 follow-up earthquake occurred while I was on the Transformers ride at Universal, which purposefully shakes you. So we didn't feel that earthquake, although other people at the park said that they saw like all the displays shaking wildly and stuff. And we were actually strangely grumpy that we didn't feel it, because if you're going to be where there's a massive earthquake, you want to feel it. No, we just instead, we protected the Allspark. We protected the Allspark. That was a Transformers reference. So yeah, the vacation was good. There was much Universal studioing and eating of far too much food. But it was amazing. Okay, Binary Ablaze says, favorite human shared 2 headlines with me. One was more sciencey, and the other was about how an astronaut lost his wedding ring in space. I got excited about the lost wedding ring. I can see you getting excited about that. So DPI 209 asks, how many trees did you hug? Some of you may know that I was super excited to get to go to Joshua Tree National Park and hug a Joshua tree. I didn't actually make it to Joshua Tree National Park because the clouds came. I was on the All-Stars Star Party led by astrotours.co along with Gliese, John Michael Gautier, Fraser Kane, Paul Matt Sutter. The first night, everyone else went to Joshua Tree, but I suffered from amazing amounts of airplane fail. Amazing amounts. I'm going to be doing a blog post of all of my dialogue of text messages that I tortured a few of you with as my plane got progressively more broken and more delayed and swapped out and more delayed. American Airlines gave me 5,000 free miles in compensation for being 3.5 hours late taking off for a 3.5 hour flight. The second night we went out to the GMARS site, which we were there, sponsored by Oceanside Photo and Telescope. I did hug a Joshua tree there, only one. They're sharp and pointy. I posted the photo on Instagram. Then we planned to go back to Joshua Tree, but we had 2 nights of horrible clouds. So I only hugged one Joshua tree. Only one. I am sad. Anyways, if you want to avoid sunburn, I'm the person to go with because there will be no sun or stars. Let's see what else is in here. Transformers protecting humanity. That is entirely true. Or in this case, just preventing us from experiencing an earthquake. There were no waffles, Paranor. We had many pancakes, however. Many pancakes. Kerbal says that they took a pic of the moon through a telescope last night. I don't have an easy way to share that photo. But it looks super cool, so I would encourage people to click at will. Oh, I missed a question from Salt and Spicy above. Scrolling. There it is. What do you think about the need for our politicians to go back to the moon? Can we send all of them? All of them? Is it important to, for the record, this is not a political question, just in general, want to know if we need to go to the moon again versus Mars. So I'm completely fine with commercial space agencies working to put people on other planets using the profits that they earn off of other endeavors. So if SpaceX wants to send human beings to the moon or Mars using the profits that they earn off of launching payloads for everyone and anyone, go for it, Elon Musk. Go for it. Please figure out how not to kill people from the radiation dangers going to Mars. In terms of using governmental funding, so NASA funds, tax funds, to put human beings back on the moon in 4 years, it's an awful waste of money because there's a good chance we're just not going to be able to pull it off, and there's going to need to be a whole lot more money spent to try and do a rush job that might have been spent if we did it slowly and steadily. There's this fine balance between, if you do something too fast, it takes extra money and you have a high probability of failing. If you do something too slowly, it's going to cost more money just because you have to maintain all of your infrastructure on the ground for too long. So you need to find that optimal window of how long it should take to do something that gets the price down, has you building at a reasonable pace, and ensures success. And I don't think that 4 years is a period of time that we can do it in. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. Veronica Cure is saying Alaska might pay for you to bring clouds. I have so many problems with clouds. So very many problems with clouds. Anyways, someone has to be the tail end of the probability distribution. And thank you for the follow, Salt and Spicy. Thank you for the follow. So I have a dog waiting for me to throw this dog toy. I should probably go back to getting work done and throwing dog toys. So I'm going to be coordinating with Binary Ablaze to figure out how to best support you in your Bennu endeavors this week as we desperately try to finish things off. I'm going to be reaching out to the mission, seeing if maybe we can get an extension at least until Friday. But please, please, please help us mark rocks. Please. Okay. I'm going to go find food to fortify me in my rock marking endeavors. And I will see you all a little bit later. For now, though, I'm going to roll the credits. I'm going to say thank you. And I'm going to remind all of you that this is a production of the Planetary Science Institute, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. And we are brought to you by you. We are ever so very grateful for your donations, for your patronage at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. And if you can't support us financially, please help us out by marking rocks at bennu.cosmoquest.org and help us by getting the word out so that together we can learn and do science. Wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous morning, evening, or afternoon, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.